So I finally upgraded, Brad. No longer drinking shitty Budweiser. Now we're drinking Guinness. That's where the good videos start. Oh, that's some good shit right there. You wouldn't think the Harry Potter series is an all that controversial group of books. However, schools in the US consistently have trouble stocking it because parents keep complaining about its content.
Bloody hell!
There are a lot of arguments parents try and use to get this book banned from schools, and as you can imagine, a lot of them are kind of stupid. For example, one of the most common is that the book promotes witchcraft or the occult, which is of course a terrible thing because nobody in the Bible ever uses magic to solve any of their problems. If you think we're being mean-spirited about religion, I'd like to point out that in the year 2000, a Catholic school in the UK banned the series for exactly that reason, while simultaneously allowing students to read The Lion, The Witch, and The Wardrobe. Do you know what my favourite part about that story is? What? Do you know why they allowed The Lion, The Witch, and The Wardrobe in, but even though it's got a witch in it, and not the Harry Potter series? Because it's got a witch and wizards. Because The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe shows an evil witch being overcome by the powers of good.
Isn't that the plot of Harry Potter?
Yes, it fucking is! The entire crux of the Harry Potter series is that there's an evil wizard who was banished to being basically a shadow monster by the literal personification of a mother's love.
If you're also going to be pedantic and say, well, that's a wizard...
You can also say,
Umbridge.
Umbridge. She's an evil witch who's overcome by the powers of good. They don't even use magic to beat her. She just races to some centaurs and they take her into the woods and beat the shit out of her. But it's more the fact that they say they banned Harry Potter for having witches and wizards while simultaneously allowing a book series called The Lion, The Witch and The Wardrobe. That's the headline that does it for me. And then that alone was going to be the point until I looked into it and found out the entire reason they let it in. And that makes it even more hilarious.
The Lion, The Witch!
But we're not done yet. In the year 2006, a mother in Georgia used almost the exact same arguments, had a series of books banned from a school there, using the exact same logic, arguing that it promoted the Wiccan religion. A religion, I should add, actively tells its followers to minimise the harm they do to others. To make this extra juicy, actual Wiccans, who I'm assuming are more of an authority on the religion than that random mother in 2006, all the things in the series people point to as being evidence that it supports the Wiccan religion have fuck all to do with the Wiccan religion.
What kind of stuff?
So like demonic possession, sorcery, all that sort of thing. It's got fuck all to do with being a Wiccan. According to actual Wiccans, who I'm going to trust as being the authority on this subject.
Yeah, they get a really bad rep, don't they, Wiccans? And
yeah, and
most of it's just like...
Most of it's just wandering around in the woods waving your arms around. Like I said before, one of the key tenets of the Wiccan religion is to minimise the harm you do to others, which is why they have such a strong affinity with nature and stuff like that. It's the idea that we're all children of the forest or some bullshit. So I don't know what it is, but as religions go, it's probably one of the more like chill ones. It's up there with like Buddhism and Sikhism and just being like super fucking chill about everything. Just in case you weren't annoyed enough, as an aside, schools in that same district also had their funding cut because they were providing Spanish language textbooks to students who didn't speak English as their first language.
Why was that a problem?
Because some people are bastards.
You bastard!
Of course, fans of the series will know that a lot of these stories are a result of overly sensitive parents and religious types getting their muggle panties in a bunch. And we're also guessing that people who only have a passing familiarity with the series also don't give that much of a shit either. But here's the thing, people who don't like this series and don't want it to be in schools are amazingly resilient and stubborn. For example, in the year 2000, the Harry Potter series were amongst the most challenged books in the entire United States that people didn't want to see in public school libraries, being challenged even more than a book about terrorism in a school.
What was that book called?
The Terrorist. I'm not even making that up. These people were literally judging a book by its cover. They're reading it and saying, there's a wizard on the front, let's ban it because of that reason. You think if they're going to complain about a book, they'd maybe complain about one called The Terrorist. Because these are already people we know, they're the reactionary types who will see something and then complain about it endlessly. Because they've only got this basic idea of what it is. In that sense, surely this book's more offensive to them. Like, not as a whole, I'm not saying the book's bad, I'm just saying to this kind of person, the kind of person who sees something and goes, no, that shouldn't be in a school.
Harry Potter or The Terrorist.
In their head, I'd think there'd be some mental maths done where they think maybe one's a little bit worse. Like, neither should be banned. You shouldn't, like, kids should be able to read whatever book they want.
So what other books were on this list?
The weird thing is, a lot of the books that a lot of parents had issue with, they're not ones that are offensive in any way. They just discuss things that the parents weren't comfortable with. So it's like the one like The Caged Bird Sings. Oh, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, which is about racism. And like parents didn't want the kids reading about that. And another one that gets challenged a lot is To Kill a Mockingbird, which is about not judging a person based on the colour of their skin. Like so famous in fact, that when they try to ban this book, this still gets challenged today, because I don't want my kids reading about this. I think Harper Lee, when she was alive, heard that a school board was considering banning it, wrote them a letter saying, enclosed is a check, so you can all go take basic English comprehension. I don't think any of you know what this book's about, and I'm very concerned about the fact that you get to decide what children can learn about.
Oh,
that is a burn, that, innit?
That's bad.
Shots fired. I repeat, shots fired.
But they're the kind of books that get banned from these books. It's not ones that are offensive in it, it's just ones that challenge views that parents have that they don't think their kids... It's like those things you hear about parents pulling kids out of sex ed class because they don't want their kid to learn about sex. Well, they're going to learn about it eventually. Surely it's better from a structured, educational professional in a setting that you have complete and utter control over, rather than the internet. And it's that same kind of argument. So I don't want my kid learning these ideas that make me personally uncomfortable. So, well, they'll make your kid a more well-rounded person who's better able to empathise with his fellow. No, fuck that shit.
And on a different note as well, Harry Potter is a book of a generation.
Yeah.
You kind of need to read it.
It's a cultural event as well. It's a cultural touchstone, that. And as well, the overall story of the book is, it's not about wizards, it's like friendship is good.
You could take out the magic and it would be the same
Yeah,
concept.
it's the idea is that Voldemort gets overtaken by love. He's first defeated by love, and then he's defeated by love at the end as well. The whole point is that because he can't love, he can never be as powerful.
You're the weak one, and you'll never know love or friendship.
But here's the really depressing part. Harry Potter topped this list for 9 years straight, meaning people complained about this book being in school libraries longer than Harry Potter was actually at school. And all this because people thought that the book promoted witchcraft and the occult, when in reality we all know that it's an allegory for child abuse.
What was that about child abuse?
We'll talk about that in a second, but first, Brad, we've got to make a very serious plight of the viewer. So, yeah, these videos cost a lot of money to make, so we need your help. If you watch the last video, you'll know that we're starting a scheme now so people who watch at home can help us financially. So what I want you to do is write a book about me as a wizard that's legally distinct from the Harry Potter series and dedicate part of the proceeds to me. And that will help us continue making more videos like this. How many more of these can we do?
There's an infinite number of ways
Oh,
you
yes, there
you
are.
can not get money. Right, so Karl, please, child abuse. What?
Oh, right, you don't know about this here. A couple of years ago, I wrote an article about this for cracked.com. You can put a link below. It's about how I got my dad, who is a social worker, if people don't know, to look through the Harry Potter series with me and basically confirm a theory that I had, that it perfectly fits with everything in the story perfectly fits with the idea that Harry Potter is actually an abused child, and that Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry is his coping mechanism. I got him to sign off on it. He says, yeah, it's an actual coping mechanism actual abused children have, where they imagine that they're either got fantastical powers or they're actually somewhere else. And a couple of the things that he pointed to as being a reason of that with the Harry Potter story is, one, the entire series revolves around him. So everything that happens in Harry, he goes from being a kid under the stairs who's has the shit kicked out of him basically every day, to he goes to this world where he is literally the most important person in the world. So that's one of the things that my dad pointed out. Another one is that things revolve around him even when they shouldn't, in terms of because the universe itself doesn't make all that much sense, like the game of Quidditch. It only makes sense in the sense that it's a game all about Harry Potter, because if you think the game ends when Harry Potter catches the golden snitch, and you get 15 points and the game ends. 150, but it's 15 points. So that'll be the equivalent of a football match where two people are chasing around a bee while they're playing the football match. And unless the other team scores 16-0, they go 16-0, and then before the other team catches this bee, they lose. So it's a game, it makes no sense unless it's thought of as by a child as a way that they can always be the person who wins. So that's another one. Another one is that a lot of his injuries that he sustains are perfectly in line with the injuries that abused children have, and his excuses are quite similar as well. Do you like the bludger that he has? When he gets hit by a bludgeon, it breaks all the bones in his arm in the second book. My dad says, yeah, that's a common injury that abused children have a lot when parents pull their arms, and he spends a lot of time in hospital with that. he said that could be his coping mechanism for trying to explain away how his arm broke, because that's a very common injury that abused children have. And as well in that book, he mentions that he goes to a school called St. Brutus's School for like criminally naughty boys or something like
I
that.
think he mentions that in the third one.
He mentions that in one. He mentions that in one of the books, and my theory is that that's where he actually goes. But what he says to his auntie is, and she asks, "Do they beat you there?" He says, "Oh yes, miss, every day." And my theory is that instead of going to Hogwarts, he actually does go there, and he actually is getting the shit kicked out of him when he gets like his broken arm and stuff. That's when he's actually in a hospital, and he's just imagining, no, I was attacked by a flying magic ball.
And you sat down with your dad and did this?
Yeah.
You know, most people play football with their dads, Karl.
Yeah, I do different stuff. But he signed off on it all and said, yeah, it's a bit of a stretch, son, but in my professional opinion, as a guy who's worked with abused children, this is it, all of the stuff you said here kind of makes sense. See, in the first book, you remember, he's said as being very skinny and very pale, which means he's malnourished and that he doesn't get out much. And he also, he's kind of hinted that his uncle's like physically abusive. And my theory was, the other letter from Hogwarts, that was actually a letter from Child Services, because as soon, what does his uncle do as soon as he sees that letter that says, "We're watching you"? In the books, he puts him into a bigger room. And my theory is that wasn't a letter from like Dumbledore or anything saying, "We're watching you." That was a letter from Social Services saying, "We know what you're doing. We're going to come round and fucking have an inspection." And that's why they put him in the bigger bedrooms. In the books, he goes from living under the stairs to a bigger bedroom. In the actual films, they say he lives in the stairs. But in the books, he goes to Dudley's old bedroom and gets a lot of his old toys. And that was my theory, that he got a letter from Social Services. It's not funny, but it's a very interesting take on the Harry Potter series. But yeah.
Do you have to ruin everything, Karl?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do, Brad.